So we're going to put a little teeth behind that they're going to have to be reporting those within 24 hours or they'll pay full value for that.
The other part is we're really good at finding iPads. And so the kids say, oh, I probably left it somewhere. Not a problem, I'll go see Mr. Wise. We can tell him the exact room it's in. Okay, so they get lazy, and that's going to stop. So now the new policy will be, you'll get one freebie, and the next one's going to cost you. When they lose their ID tag, they pay $5 to get one. This is a much more valuable device. But we did kind of create that because we could just say exactly where it was and send them up to get it. So, and they'll get plenty of notice, but this will have them accept a little more responsibility. We'll find your iPad for you.
To be quicker and speed this up a little bit.
Yeah.
AirServe for staff is a new piece that we're going to implement next year. We're already piloting it with some teachers. What that's going to allow to do is their iPads will talk to their laptops, which will allow them to project without actually plugging in. Right now, all the teachers have to plug in like we're doing tonight, and that really limits them to standing by their desk to present, which then creates other problems in the classroom if I can't be out monitoring. So we're going to give all this. We've already purchased the licenses, so it's a matter of getting them on their laptops. What that allows them to do is then I can walk around the room with my iPad, present my lesson, but then I could be out in the classroom helping monitor some of the disciplinary issues that we have come up in the classroom.
Minimal cost, it was $7 a license per teacher forever, so we felt like that was a really good investment.
And then later, the admin team's going to talk about professional development a little bit and how that plays out. But we did create an iPad professional development team. It's a group of 15 teachers from all the academies, all grade levels. What they're doing is helping us plan some of our professional development for next year. We will have a half day with all new teachers, just high school staff, to kind of get them acclimated to what the iPad is and what it can do for them. And then August 8th is going to be iPad Day at the high school, and where all the professional development will be geared towards integrating this device into their curriculum, whether Common Core activities, apps, disciplinary, classroom management, you name it. We're going to try to accomplish a lot of things in that day. The staff is going to present that. Lane and I will probably present some things as well, but we're really counting on this team to be our speakers in those rooms because they're the ones that are in the classroom that have the most stake in it. So those folks are very excited. They came up with a lot of ideas of how we want to accomplish that. And so we're excited to be going forward with that. They'll also be doing PLC trainings as well throughout next year. We found, and you'll see it in the survey, that's when teachers want the trainings, is during that PLC time. So we're going to work with the staff to try to make sure we can get that done. So that's it for our part, the nuts and bolts part. We'll stay out of the way. So, Mr. Kipp.
First of all, Ms. Scott, the Trade and Health Academy principal, had to leave, so she apologizes for leaving. She wanted to present some of this material too. She's been a key member of the technology team, especially when it comes to the discipline involving the iPad. And basically with discipline, we want to not dwell on it. There's been a lot mentioned about discipline with the iPad, but if you look at the numbers, as you can see up here, FY iPad related referrals are at 369, and our total referrals for the year at 3252. So a very small percentage of our discipline has to do with the iPad. But a lot of times we dwell on that because it's new, and a lot of people are wondering whether it's a distraction in the classroom or what the students are doing with the iPad is worthwhile and part of the instruction. Well, it is. It's a good thing to have in the classroom. The distractions are very minimal. The iPad-related referrals have to do, in a majority, with a student not bringing his iPad to class, or a student not doing the right thing on their iPad at that moment. It may be something that they do for another class. So there's a lot that goes into those FY iPad-related referrals. Not just that they're playing Flappy Birds. Quite a bit different thing when you incorporate all of the referrals that relate to the iPad. And a lot of people are dwelling on some of the issues with lack of engagement in the classroom, but if you look at the numbers and if you break that down to all the possibilities for those referrals, that's a very small percentage of our time is dealing with unengaged kids due to the distraction of an iPad. The vast majority of students are taking most of their time and using it in a way that we expect them to use it, and using it as a valuable tool for their education. So we don't want to dwell on discipline, but it is important to kind of look at it and see how we're doing with the iPad in the classroom and how we can change our instruction to even reduce the numbers that we have in terms of those iPad-related referrals. Right here it shows about 11%, but if you break that down, the number of times that a student is given a referral for doing something in class is very minimal. If you look at the other behavior issues that we have throughout the school, throughout the year, there's a lot of other things that take up most of our time in terms of discipline, and it's not an iPad issue. Other than that, the things that we can kind of do, and we'll talk a little bit about this later under professional development and student engagement, is to change the way that we teach with the iPad in order to keep the students engaged and away from the distractions that they might have with the iPad in the classroom. If you have any questions about discipline, this is including all the academies throughout the school all year long. So the numbers show that they're doing pretty well with the iPad.
I think we find this pretty close to like we do with cell phones, if you all remember cell phones. At first, it was just way out there and it took up all our time on stuff. And I think with the iPad, you'll see them go down too, as we learn how to manage them better, the teachers. But I know at one of the faculty meetings, that was the thing, is you can't teach because we're always dealing with iPad issues. So we wanted to show you a percentage. Okay. Okay, teacher survey data. This is just, twice with the teachers now?
3 times.
3 times with the teachers. 85% of the teachers feel like basically have a good comfort level with the iPads now, which is, like I said, it'll increase. 64% of their students use their iPads daily in class. We'll have some charts, I think. You put those on there, didn't you, Katie? The SAMR model, I think this was interesting on this one, the substitution level, which we said that's most of what most teachers do at the beginning. But if you notice, the modification level, we're at 31, and we've kind of bypassed the augmentation level, which was kind of interesting to us. It seems like you would just go right down the ladder to the harder ones, but that's what the averages came out. Y'all jump in anytime.
Well, with that particular previous graph, we're looking at the comfort level of the teachers using that in class. So that's not necessarily how much percentage of time they're using that particular aspect of the iPad in their lessons, but it gives us a sense that they are now understanding the iPad better, how to use it more effectively in the classroom, and to go from just substituting an iPad for a calculator, an iPad for a book, to now integrating that into their lessons. So they're more comfortable, and that will lead eventually to a change in the culture in the classroom.
And that's changed over the course of those 3 surveys. It's improved each time.
And there are some reasons for why it's improved and why teachers are becoming more comfortable with the SAMR model and that sort of thing. And number one is Lainey and Casey and myself, we try to do a lot of modeling with the iPads when we're doing PLCs or doing presentations, trying to show teachers different ways that they can present information that they can use in the classroom. And when they see it up, they're like, oh, hey, that's so cool. How do we do that? And so then my job this past year has been to lead some professional development after school and on the weekends, and we'll get to that later on. But percentage-wise, there was always a good turnout, which I think a lot of that was due to the release time. So we were happy about that. But teachers they are wanting to use it in the classroom more, and they're wanting to bump it up because we finally got them to understand that if the students are doing, if we're at that R level, that's less work for us because the kids are the ones working, the kids are the ones creating. And so I think that has really transformed the classroom.
And I believe that's right. We're learning a little better on how to get our teachers engaged with the new technology, which is hard. More like workshops is what we really need to be doing, not just saying, here it is, we'll show you a little bit on it, but really start a lesson plan and say, okay, here's how you use Notability, and you take them through it and let them develop a lesson with that. And we're realizing we have to go slower to go faster, which is always the case. Anyway, this is the data on this. 68%, that's improving learning, and again, the teachers training them, and a lot of that was probably with eBackpack. The kids really love eBackpack. Be able to get their lessons anytime, send it homework, and the teachers love it. It's a great way to communicate, and a lot of them using it. This is interesting. 8-period classes use their iPad. 41% 5 to 6 classes, so I guess the good part about it is 1 to 2 classes, only 5%. So there's still a fraction out there that are not using it like we want, and that's our goal now, is to get those people that are not wanting to use it very much to using it more, and like I say, being more comfortable with that. Percentage of periods spent using the iPad, again, a huge one there is 51 to 75%, 43 and 36. So really, we're pretty good shape because most of our time is using that. I don't think we'll ever hit 100%, guys. I don't think that's our goal, because some things just do not lend themselves to that technology. A prime example, a welding class, a PE class. So that kind of skews our data. You need to remember those. Even in a technology class, they're sitting in front of a laptop. Why would you use your iPad? So that skews this data just a little bit.
Sure.
Because you're a teacher.
Yeah. Student survey done. What is your comfort level in using the iPad for creating projects for class? I think this is great that the majority of our students, well, almost the majority of our students, feel very, very comfortable with using the iPad to create projects. In fact, I think that's probably what our kids are doing most often if they're not using the iPad for substitution purposes, to do some writing and turn it in, or to read something. And to the best of my knowledge, if they're not doing substitution, I'm assuming that they are creating projects, making iMovies, making songs, creating comic strips. So it's a great thing that they are very comfortable with it. And even though they don't get a lot of training, I mean, these are high school kids. They take it and go. Whereas teachers, even, and my mom even, is very scared. You know, she's like, do I push this button? Yes, Mom, push it. Nothing's going to happen. But the kids, they just jump right in. In fact, when I try to give them some instruction, you know, they're like, Ms. Upton, come on, let us start. So this is, I think, very accurate.
And I think one key for us, when we look at that, we're working with our staff, is that this is the data that we need to tap into with staff, is that they don't have to be the ones that are fearful of it. Turn them loose and let them take off. They don't have to have all the knowledge of how to start a project. If they don't know how to do iMovie, say, somebody take it off and do it for us. And there's 25, 30 kids in a classroom that know what they're doing. So I think some of that fear of jumping in, both feet first, onto the iPad for some of our folks is still that I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the device at the level I need to be to turn my kids loose on a major project with it. So having this data, that takes us with our professional development to take to our teachers going, you don't have to worry about teaching them. They're ready, they know what they're supposed to do. You build it and then let them go and let them take off with it.
Yeah, our kids haven't had the blue screen of death yet.
Student survey data again. During mentoring, which is a time we all love at the high school, she's looking at me kind of funny, because kids are moving everywhere, they're going to get lessons. We have not really kicked in our MTSS like we should, but if you'll look at some of the larger ones, the green one, working on homework is what we want them to be doing. Checking skyward, the blue one, is what we want them to be doing. The 24% playing games, which is the one that really upsets the teachers. But think about this, if you have a student that has everything done already, would you rather them play a game, even if it's a high-level game, to keep them entertained than discipline or causing discipline problems because they're bored and have nothing to do? So we're not really against games if they're high-level games, high-thinking games, if they have their work done. But that is one of the high ones.
And this is pretty empowering to the kids. In the past, and even for the teachers, if they didn't have anything to work on that day, I'm like, well, why are you failing chemistry? And then go, well, I didn't turn my work in. Well, now I can go, okay, pull up your backpack, let's go to chemistry. What should you be doing? Where are you missing your work? Instead of having to send them out, and not that we don't want to send them out, but we don't. This way, there are simply just no excuses. It's pretty empowering.
Usage in class, 69% daily, 1 to 2, 3 times a week, not too bad, but never. Again, there's that 5%, which I think is that group out there that, I don't know what exact number that is, that really do not want to get on board yet. After you use your iPad in class, I think that's really a pretty good pie graph right there. What we're finding is that the language arts, the 4 cores, they're going to use them more. English, math, science, social studies. The electives sometimes have a little harder time finding the usage for it, which again comes back to in-service and professional development on our part to show them how to do that.
And using PLC time to search, because there's so many things out there that it's sometimes overwhelming. So teachers are like, I'm not even gonna touch it.
And up to this point, our professional development is focused on giving information to the teachers about apps, about the iPad, about how to use the iPad. Whereas if we change the professional development to get the teachers to work together, to create things for their classroom, that will be more important to people in the electives, and it will also aid in the 4 curriculum areas as well.
Use for, again, there is the data on the 4 classes right there. Note taking, of course, that's substitution research. It's moving a little further down the line. Close reading, which is a Common Core or college-ready skill that we're needing to work on. So that looks pretty good. Again, what is the iPad primarily used for in classes, elective classes? Again, this shows a little difference in how they're using those. Again, note-taking is probably one of the bigger ones in research because you have it with you all the time.
I think in the elective side though, one thing to point out is they have a pretty high percentage of creating projects in that group, and that's what you would expect in an elective class. You're talking about your arts classes, your industrial arts classes, where if they're using the device, they probably should be creating. Whether we've seen art classes where kids are drawing on them, painting on them, they're doing their first project, rough drafts on them, and then going to the paper and pencil to start their actual work. So, that's a bump up, but although they're rating on how often they're using them in that class was pretty well spread out, what they're using them for is actually pretty high level stuff when they are having it.
Any questions? That's a lot of that.
On the first slide, you talk about $30,000 savings on the iPad, so the prices come down on those? Or
What we were able to do is we have iPad 2s throughout the district, and if iPad announced that they're no longer going to, or Apple announced they're no longer going to sell those, so, but we were able to get those for next year at that $50 per iPad less, so that saved us $30,000.
Then second question, you talked about only 100 of the students wanting to buy the iPads. Why do you think that is? Why not? Why aren't other kids jumping on that discounted rate?
These are only graduates.
Yeah.
So only our graduates. We have quite a few early grads that we're not sure know about it yet.
We have 150 early grads
Yeah,
that
100.
don't have email anymore.
Right.
They're not on campus, so trying to get the word out to them. Keep in mind, Tim, that is as of noon today, I think I checked it, they have till Friday. And so,
So how many seniors are there?
There are
425
folks should have graduated if everything works out. And they
So
pass their
only,
finals and everything.
It seems like there'd be more than 100 wanting to purchase
Well,
those.
here's what the deal is, and I think when some of that stuff went out, we have a lot of seniors that are on campus but are not on campus, so they're not getting to work, and then the early grads, and then some of those are the juniors, or 3-year grads also. So I think just the amount of people that are on campus where the work can spread around is not there right
One of
now.
the
think there's
things,
really-
our students don't read email well.
They're hot us.
They do not, and that's how we send it out. So-
Really, a couple of answers to that. You've got some kids who, their families don't have the money to do it, and you've got some kids who say, why would I want to buy a device that's 2-3 years old when I could go out for a couple hundred more and get a brand new one?
I think there's another group of kids that already have their own personal devices. And I don't know how large that number is, I don't know if you have a handle on it.
I don't know, but it's higher than most would think probably. I see a lot of kids that, I have 2 or 3 on my swim team, I know that bring both on lots of our trips, so.
Well, I guess my thought is, we were maybe missing the message. Maybe it sounds like some kids might not.
Put it on the website, we emailed them, we told kids to, put, if we knew a kid that had a lot of connections, put it on your Twitter feed. Of course, now they don't have email anymore, so how are they gonna let me know?
That's kind of what our problem
And
is.
so we're gonna wait till those kiddos show back up, either early grads are all gonna come back, and I think we'll be surprised, because there was a great amount of interest from those kids when they left in December.
Thanks, those, thanks, John.
Okay.
You may have answered this as you were referring to the student survey, and I may have missed it. But do you have a clue of how many kids actually took the survey, what that number was?
It's 1,098.
1,098 out of approximately
How many do you have on campus?
1,700.
1,700 now, probably is about what we have.
So, and we had, I think, 73 staff.
And at the time we had them do the survey, several students are out, they've taken community college classes, they have shortened schedules for the seniors, so it wasn't that bad of a turnout comparatively to the first semester survey.
Good number, very good number, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have I guess it's a question or a comment. Do you have enough staff to support this?
We just don't sleep anymore, though.
Well, I just, like, I know my son's iPad was stolen and Casey was gone on a swim meet and no one was around for him to report it to till the next day. And so, and I really like the changes next year that, you know, I think you should have to report it sooner rather than later. But I want to make sure that you guys don't have to do all of it. I mean, I don't know if you need student assistants or, no? Okay, well,
It's
you know
harder
what
than
you
you
need. But I was happy to see through program budgeting, your department did not, you did well through program budgeting. But I'm just wondering, are you as efficient as you need to be to make this program as successful as possible?
Okay, it is hard when Casey's gone for swim meets. When he is gone, I make sure I'm there before school, during mentoring, and after school in his absence, so kids can find. So with only a couple of exceptions, I have been there if he is gone, to make sure that we've got that. That's how important we feel it is.
Yeah, good.
We're also gonna transition, we have technical staff at the high school that we have kind of kept out of this process so far. And we're going to start transitioning them into playing a different role. And they can assist with some of the stuff that these two have had to do on their own for these 2 years.
And I think if we talk to the teachers a little more and make us understand that we need to be part of that as well. Like, I had a student this morning who came and said she couldn't find her iPad. She went to go look for it, came back and it was gone. It was just like, came in and sat down. I was like, oh, no. Where is it? And so she said, well, it's not there anymore. So I said, okay, did you talk to Mr. Wise? No. Well, you need to right now. So she went down and talked to Mr. Wise. He wasn't there. Well, I picked up the phone and called Lane, immediately. And she, within, 5 minutes, had found it and told me when the last time it checked in. So I think we need to try to do a better job of asking the teachers to help them as well, because he can be in the building 24/7, but we can get a hold of someone who can help.
Yeah, I don't want you to have to be in the building. I
Right.
don't want your small core group to have to be responsible for everything. And this is a huge part of our district, and I just want to make sure it's got the manpower behind it.
The other thing I think will help is with the addition of that group that they've created of teachers, they can help do the staff development, and that will alleviate some of that.
I think the staff development is going to be amazing. I think it's really going to take this to the
We have an
next level.
amazing group of teachers.
Yeah.
They're really funny, that they're
Enthused.
excited about it.
Yeah.
How many other districts in the state have showed interest since we launched this iPad initiative?
Oh, I can't even tell you the number of phone calls we get, Alex. And it's not just our state. Missouri, Colorado, Texas, Iowa, call us.
So we're showing some collaboration on your guys' part with the.
Yeah, and we always
at
make
that
sure
point.
we take time. We Skype with them a lot, or FaceTime, or just have a phone call, but we always make sure we have time for them.
And my next question, how soon or how much later do you think the iPad 2s will need to be phased out?
We won't be able to buy them.
We're done buying them.
Okay.
I think we'll be able to support them with the software. My conversations with Apple is that we're not gonna just all of a sudden one day, now we can't do anything with them. Whatever we can do with them, August 1st, we'll be able to continue to do that with the devices until they wear out their life cycle. We've kind of, with that new program we talked about, they kind of set some things in place that lock it in. Even if next year an iOS 8 comes out and the iPad 2s won't support it, we're not gonna lose the functionality of being able to maintain our devices, track them, all the things we can do to enable us to do it.
But our $50 discount is done. We won't get that again.
And the device coming out now is an iPad 4. They now reduced its price down to take the iPad 2's place. So it's a much better device. It's 2 generations newer, but we want to, with the discount, it made more sense to go ahead and get 1 more year of iPad 2s.
Is our self-insurance taking care of itself with the
Yes.
current deposit amount?
Pretty good.
Are you gonna keep it the same way next year? Okay. Oh, gosh. Oh, can you just spend a little bit of time on the technology creep into the rest of the district, different education levels? Now that we've got the high school, or if you don't want to, if you're not prepared, I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Well,
I just,
we've come up with a couple of scenarios, trying to guess how many iPads we would have left. Some thoughts were starting looking at getting devices in every kid's hand in middle school. We have a number of iPads already in our middle schools, but supplementing that, we have talked about just giving them to teachers across the district. We don't have enough for every teacher, but starting to give them to teachers. And we did pilot that this spring. We handed out several to teachers to look at some applications that the Office of Instruction wanted them to look at. And then the other option is to pick some elementary schools or some settings where we do cart model. And get some teachers a cart of iPad, or a school a cart of iPads, and let them see what they can do.
Which would be similar to what we're doing at the junior highs now. You know, KH has 4 carts, 3 carts, 3 or 4 carts at KH, and Forest Good has 3 or 4 carts as well. So it would be, that model would be something similar.
so we don't have iPads just sitting on a shelf somewhere. They're all in hands.
They're out.
Good.
We sent them all out. We took the early grad iPads, we did a Lincoln setting, put those in teachers' hands and started
Great.
experimenting.
Perfect, good job.
The other area we're really looking at is special ed. We've got some out in some teachers' hands for special ed, and those are working real well in those applications.
And those folks are very excited to be trying new things with those kids. There's a lot of opportunity for special needs kids to have this device help them in some way.
I know some PTOs have expressed an interest in being able to assist in purchasing for their schools, but they've been told no because the infrastructure's not ready yet. Are we getting to the point where, because I know that there's a lot of frustration, PTOs want to get technology into the hands of their kids, want to help us out. Are we getting to the point where we can tell them yes?
The infrastructure's in place if we want to add to a building 30 to 50 devices. It's not in place to add 300 or 1 for every kid. This summer, hopefully, the next board meeting, we'll have a bid out, or we have a bid out currently that will come before the board to upgrade the wireless infrastructure at Charles Stone's. This is our plan, depending on numbers. Charles Stone's, Bernadine Sets, and Kenneth Henderson. We feel Forest Good is in pretty good shape because we made it that way in the high school, the old high school. So we're starting with the older buildings and moving down. So hopefully by the end of the summer, to answer your question, those 4 buildings, since 5 through 8, should be okay, infrastructure-wise. Elementary, not yet. Unless we, a cart here, a cart there, we're okay. But kids can't walk in, or we can't have 300 devices turned on at the same time at those elementary schools.
Okay.
And some of that is, in Darren's group, and we have requests all the time for that. And some of that is, the
We're in
instruction office
discussion.
being ready for that, to have that kind of stuff.
Another concept that we probably should bring up in those cases is, I think it's very important, we, as a district and administrations, work very hard to have all schools, all elementary schools, to get the same educational opportunity. I would really, I would find it somewhat, I could see how it would bring problems if one school has certain access to certain pieces of technology and others don't. I don't like the haves and the have-nots in the same grade level. Does that make sense?
I agree, Cory.
I
But in
think that's an
reality-
important thing to preserve.
We can't do that because of money.
Right, oh, yeah.
So, I'm with you, so when we look at that and we all sit down and talk, we've got to think, what's the best use, the best bang for our buck that impacts the most students that we can grow outward?
Right.
So is it that piece we give them to teachers and start moving that way? Or do we start at that 7th, 8th grade level and move down?
Yeah. I think you're creeping exactly the way we've talked about it, and I think it's equitable. And I don't think you're putting any boundary zone in priority over another boundary zone. I don't want any parent to be able to say, it's not fair that my kid doesn't have that, and I would not be able to defend it, so I'm glad you agree.
We think about that all the time as we move forward with this stuff. We want that equitability for our kids.
Is there anything that the city can do, favor subsidizing stuff, about access to help with what we're trying to do? I mean, I know that there are certain areas in town where you can go and get access. I know that it's not the city's job to provide this. However, you know, there's some major advantages to the community members to have access to this tool at home also.
I can tell you this, Gloria, one of the things we've been working on this year with Cox Communication is families who currently do not currently subscribe to Cox and are low SES get a very reduced rate for internet access in the home. We're trying to set that up with some transition of buildings. They're struggling getting our Leader Alternative School on and Garfield Early Childhood on. And then we can release that so that it's like $9.99 or something for internet access in the home, which is considerably less than what Cox charges.
That's great. Just getting the word out.
Yeah, we're trying to get that ironed out, and we hope to have it by enrollment, and that didn't happen. So hopefully by the fall, we've got it all ironed out.
So going directly to the vendor has been better than going through the city. Excuse me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you guys, appreciate the information.
Are students using their own covers this year?
Yes.
You can allow it?
Yes,
Has there
a
been
lot.
any major change in breakage amount or?
It's the same breakage
Same,
now
okay.
that it was last
I
year.
figured it would be. Out of the room before I think of another question.
Should have had a wardrobe
All right, I guess I'll start this off. This is about Avid. First, I want to thank you for approving our contract with Avid through the consent agenda. I want to tell you a little bit about Avid. We've talked about it before at other board meetings. This is our 5th year, which really makes me feel, man, that time has just flown by. But we've had kids start in Avid and graduate from Avid, and I don't have all the numbers, Deb does, but I do know Avid is important to our school. It's taking those middle kids that think they're BNC level students and putting them in honors classes and then giving them the support to be honors level students. Basically what that does is give them the confidence to say, well, I want to go to college and I can be successful in college. And these are the people that work it every day, so I'm going to not steal any of their thunder and let them take off.
Well, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Deb Jarmer, and I've been before the board several times. I'm the district director for Avid, and for the most part, that means I'm in charge of the financing and the paperwork that goes in. Michelle Osveen is also in charge of paperwork. She's our Avid site coordinator, and every program has to have a site coordinator and a director. And Katie Upton is she's our elective teacher for juniors. Michelle's also an elective teacher, and I'll let them tell a little bit about that. We hope to have a presentation in 2 weeks, but this is very short tonight. Thank you again for approving the contract, because it's critical. We must have the contract approved so we can be an Avid site. The next piece is, I truly thank the Finnett Foundation for approving those grant funds. We are not a line item, so we have to self-support, and we truly believe this is critical to the foundation for a lot of our students who, as James said, are in the academic middle. These are not gifted students, they are not at-risk students. And our students have to increase their rigor, and they have to maintain their grades to stay in the Avid program.
Okay, she did bring something up that go ahead, Dr.
Well, Deb, I can't let you get away there. How much was that grant again?
There-
for the Definitive
Oh,
Foundation?
Go through the years. Just go through the-
25, well, this year's grant, I have to say that, to answer your question, Dr. Atha, $25,685.
Not 86,
No.
not 80.
And 53 cents, no. Well, the first year, I will say I asked for 10,000, and I was just trying to get a little bit of help, and we got 5,000 from them, and we're very thankful for that. The last year, I asked for 21,000, and we were granted almost 21,000. And this year, I asked for $25,685. And for the most part, those funds are for professional development and to help with our tutors. Because we are required to have college-age tutors in our tutorial classes, and we are required to attend professional development. And I'm going to let these guys tell a little bit about it, but one of the things, and it's in the brochure, Avid is very, very precise in their professional development. It is scaffolded, and it is sequential, and you don't go to a smorgasbord and say, I'll take a little of that and a little of that, and I might attend that. They tell you where you're going to go based on what you go to the year before, or if you're brand new, and what you're teaching or what your role is in the site team. So it is very prescriptive. And it is an institute, it's 8 to 5 with homework, 3 days. So we have night meetings and we have night homework to come back to the next day. So, Michelle?
I'm gonna sneak in real quick. Okay, now, we do need that supplemental money from some outside source, because we started Avid 5 years ago and asked for no money from the school district or the board. And at that time, I had teachers that I could take them out of classes and say, okay, we're gonna take you out of this class and you can teach one Avid class. And we've done that, but we're at the point now, we don't have a surplus of teachers, so that's becoming more difficult to say, I'm gonna take this teacher out of this class so they can do an Avid elective class. And with that supplemental funds with Fennett Foundation, and that's just making this thing go. Deb does have a group that sells stuff after school, which may end at the end of next year.
We have a very good concession stand after school.
Which helps with them going on college trips. These kids go to visit a lot of colleges.
We've been to 11 sites this year, 11 colleges and campuses in 6 trips.
So again, this is just what we've done with what we had without any assistance from the district funds.
And we are thankful that James finds a teacher for us for each of the levels. If we were at max, we would need a full-time teacher and a fourth, but right now, a full-time teacher is what we need. We have 6 sections, but next year we will have 7. And so he's trying to find us a section for another class for next year, so. Michelle, if you want to make a couple comments, and Katie, and we'll answer questions because we need to keep this very short.
Yeah, and I want to be respectful of your time. About the professional development, we go to Dallas every year. It is intense. You leave with a headache. And I will tell you that because I have been to Summer Institute for, this will be my 5th year.
6th year.
Fifth year. It has made me a better classroom teacher outside of my Avid students. You take the strategies that you learn, that you can apply to Avid, and you apply them right to your classroom, and my kids are better students because of it. So, and again, I want to be respectful of your time.
I think what has been most interesting to me, because this is my first year as an Avid elective teacher, and I came into a group who, both of their teachers that were their Avid teachers left. So they combined them and a new teacher. So we had growing pains, kind of like any kind of step family that comes together. But we've done it, and I think what strikes me the most about Avid and what I'm the most proud of is the fact that we really do talk to our kids about being a family. And they 100% buy in, and because of that family and that support that this group has, they are going to go to college, and they are going to succeed. And if they're not succeeding, they know that they still have the support back here and back home to get them where they need to be. It's just been amazing to watch and be a part of. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you very much.
And then